Hey kid, how's it going there? It's Prince Tree, your dad trying to make you a better human being, and for that I apologize. If you're not having a good year, hopefully you have a good month. Hopefully you have a good week. Have a good week, hopefully having a good day. If you're having a good day, hopefully having a good hour. If you're having a good hour, hopefully you have a good moment. And I'm not gonna lie here, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's the intro now. Yeah. And of course, I don't wish anything for you other than not being part of the 54% of adults in America who can't read past 6th grade. So please go and read a book. Alright, so today's topic is talking about perspectives, points of views, right? How do people see things? You can literally have two people at the same exact event have two different perspectives, two different points of view about the same event, right? And as a historian, I'll call myself a light historian, right? I did study history at St. John University, and I'm a history teacher. What I want to teach you is about perspectives, and I don't want to use politics because people have very strong emotions about that, and I don't want to use wars because it's a little depressing. I want to make it a little more lighthearted, a little bit more fun. So I'm going to use the New York Knicks versus the Spurs, Game 4, okay? Now, to give you some context, right, to understand at least the history to it whenever you watch this, the New York Knicks was down by 29 points at the half, which theoretically speaking, they had little to no chance of winning. There were some stats saying that they had like 4% chance of winning the whole game because statistically speaking or historically speaking, usually basketball teams who are down by double digits and a large number of double digits don't make a comeback and win, right? It's just simply too many points to win the game. Now, spoiler, they do win the game. That's the point here. The point is talking about perspectives. How do people look at the same event, but in different lenses, right? And what I think is important is the fact that even for yourself, you need to see things from different lenses. Not just yours, but other people's as well. So first, we're going to look at the Spurs, like the Spurs announcers' perspective of the last minute or the last 30 seconds of play up until the Anunoby tip it, and kind of I'll try to do my best to be as objective as possible about how they might be feeling, what they might be thinking about this whole thing, right? Again, with the context fact that the Knicks were down by 29 points. Now I have to add in some disclosure here, right? I am a New York Knicks fan, right? I am. It's just point blank period, and I'm going to be excited to watch this all over again. These are the Spurs radio announcers. The man on the left is Sam Weiss. The man on the right is NBA champion Sean Elliott, who won a championship with the San Antonio Spurs, I believe in 1999, right? The last time the Knicks was in the final. Both of these guys are, theoretically speaking, cheering for the Spurs. That's who they want to win. I mean, rightfully so, right? You're cheering these guys on for the entire season. I don't know how many years these guys have been working for them, but fundamentally speaking, that's what it is.
Gets it back here in the corner from Towns. Brunson attacking. Slides by Vassell. High off the glass. No good. Deep rebound. Tipped out. Goes the length of the floor. Fox will get to it. Lays it up. Blocked to the rim. Knicks have it. 8 seconds remaining. Mike Brown doesn't call timeout. Oh, they went over and back.
That's a violation.
Did they call timeout? Did they go over and back?
Yeah,
I thought they went over and back.
James Williams, he's calling over and back.
They called timeout. Wow. I did not. Man. No timeouts remaining for the Knicks, so we got to get it in.
I just want to take a second to just know the fact that, like, you know, Sam Weiss and Sean Elliott, at least I say rather really more so Sam Weiss here, right? Very excited about, you know, the Spurs are leading by 1 point. Time is running out. The possibility of the New York Knicks making a comeback at this point is slim to none, right? It's almost impossible. And you know, you also got really excited about the fact that the New York Knicks might have had a turnover, right, with the over and back call. A little bit of disbelief of the fact that, you know, the New York Knicks got a timeout some way, somehow. Anyways, let's continue on to my favorite moment of the New York Knicks Spurs series.
0.7 to play. Anunoby to inbound. Anunoby looking, gets to the Brunson, tiptoes the line, saves it, pulls up deep three, off the front of the rim, tipped up and in! And the Knicks have taken the lead with 1.2 seconds remaining. OG Anunoby with a follow-up tip.
All right, I said before I'm gonna try not to be biased, but it's hard to do. All right, it is hard to do. I'm a human being. We're all biased. It's just that is human nature. That is just part of life, right? So I think Sam's Weiss face right now is the same face that probably every single Spurs fan had at that moment, of essentially just being like, there's no way this actually happened. There's no way the New York Knicks just made a comeback from being down 29 points and they're now at this point, right? They're now winning the game. And they might win the game. There is no possibility, right? I think that Sean Elliott is a little more practical in the sense of just kind of like, nah, it's part of the game. You know, I'm pretty sure he's been in those moments. I think he had like a 10-year career. I think. Don't quote me on that. But with that being said, Sam Weiss, I think, is the reaction of what most fans probably felt. Just complete and total disbelief of this actually happening. Did I say Sean Elliott? Sam Weiss. My bad. I meant to say Sam Weiss, the man on the left. And the man on the right, Sean Elliott, I think, again, more practical, more just like, this is just what it is, right? I'm curious to see what their perspectives are, their point of view as to like why this happened, right? For me as a New York Knicks fan right now, I'd just say it's like, hey, don't stop believing, just keep going and just keep grinding, right? And this is a great comeback. It was the greatest comeback in finals history.
Sean, you said he's played the game of his life here tonight, and he may have just made the play of his life right there.
Yeah, he sure did. I thought he was the X factor coming into this series, and he's untouched. You have two guys on the ball out top with Jalen Brunson, so you have numbers for the Knicks on the offensive glass, and Anunoby goes right down the middle of the paint for the tip.
And just the second lead of the game for the Knicks, but up by one with 1.2 seconds remaining. And from the largest halftime lead on the road in finals history, Spurs, they need a miracle.
Well, you have enough time to come down with the basketball and get a decent shot, so let's see if Mitch has any little tricks or misdirections in his bag. On the Knicks,
I think even right now at this moment, right, for at least for the New York Knicks fans, I would say arguably that, you know, right, that feeling of just like, hey, we kind of have this opportunity to kind of win it and seal the deal, right? Sean Elliott, and when he described it, he's like, at least the way I'm understanding it is that the game's not over. I mean, I think both sides can agree that the game's not over. It's a high stake chance. There's 1.2 seconds left. And as Sean Elliott said, there's enough time for them to get a decent shot. There's enough time for them to do something, to make up a play, to make something work, make something happen. The Knicks play, that wasn't the intention. It just happened, right? It just happened. The Spurs do have a chance to like make up a play and, you know, let something happen, see whatever it is. And right now, at least they cut it a little bit ahead. Sam Weiss is standing, and Sean Elliott is just sitting down and watching. I think, again, for me, this is where I think there's a little bit of the difference of the two of them. Sam Weiss is a fan of the Spurs, right? I don't know how long he's been working for them, but, you know, you've been watching them for a whole season. You're going to be biased toward the team that you watch. I'm not going to lie. At least for myself, the Spurs were the second team I was watching this season. They were my little dark horse. I was like, oh, these guys are interesting. You know, let's see what they do. Sean Elliott sitting down, I think, again, probably just because he's a professional basketball player. He's emotionally been through these types of situations. He's played through them. And, you know, he just knows it's part of the game. He's probably one of the people who kind of sees it all.
Putting Karl Anthony Towns on the ball.
Towns face guarding Dylan Harper. 1.2 to play. Harper get the ball here from Courtney Kirkland. Looking, spotting. Oh, he's looking for Castle. Castle has it. He threw it up and he didn't get it off in time. And the Knicks win. The New York Knicks, down 27 at the half, come back and beat the Spurs 107-106 to take a 3-1 lead in this NBA Finals.
You know, Dan, games 2 and games 4 are similar in the respect that, look, our youth and our inexperience cost us in both those games. You don't execute in the entire second half of this one. It was a poorly played second half, I really believe, by both teams. Although the Knicks made some shots, they played better. Both made a ton of mistakes here. But this is going to be a lesson for our guys. I mean, You're up by 25. You kind of saunter out of the locker room instead of coming out with, fire and blood coming out of you. You got to try to expand that lead. You can't be nonchalant. And the Knicks, all they wanted to do there, coming out of the locker room, is chip away some more. Get it down to single digits, and they accomplished that.
29.
I think that a lot of the Spurs fans would agree with what Sean Elliott said here, right? Hey, we lost a series because we were inexperienced. We were a younger team. If it was like if we were in the finals last year, right, and we lost last year, we would have beat the Knicks this year. And what I'm trying to say is, like, the Spurs fans would, at least in my opinion, don't come from me, Spurs fans. What I would say that Spurs fans, when they talk about this final, they'll talk about in the sense of like reasons why the Spurs lost, and not reasons why the Knicks won. And those are two different things. What I mean is that they're essentially, in my opinion, they're going to give them excuses as to why they couldn't beat the Knicks. Oh, we were inexperienced. Oh, this player was injured. Oh, that player wasn't in the right mental space. Right? So many reasons why the Spurs, just lost the series. So that's that perspective, right? That was the perspective of the Spurs. Let's go on over to the New York Knicks. Am I going to be biased over here? Absolutely. All right, it's around the same time as the Spurs. I believe this man's name is Tyler Murray, and then the woman's name is Monica McNutt. I think they've been working for the Knicks for like 5 years. I think. Don't quote me on that. Do not quote me on that. But again, they've both been watching the Knicks for a season, so at least a season. So they're both going to be biased, right, toward the Knicks. But let's just hear and see the reaction of Tyler Murray and Monica. Just watch a historic moment here.
Right wing, he'll drive around Vassell, bank shot in the air, missed it too strong, rebound batted ahead by Towns into the front court for San Antonio, and Fox has a layup blocked by Anunoby. 9 seconds left, one timeout available. Mike Brown not using it, Knicks down by 1, and a whistle and a foul on San Antonio just before it looked like Jose Alvarado was about to go over and back. All it takes is...
For one thing, I don't know if you noticed, but like in the background, Monica did a timeout. She did a little timeout, gesture to be like, hey, call a timeout so you can like regroup, whatever. Dan Weiss and Charlotte didn't do that because why? They are cheering for the Spurs. Monica in that moment was a fan. Okay, I think everyone who was watching as a Knicks fan was like, yo, call a timeout. Call a timeout. Tyler Murray did acknowledge the fact that it might be an over and back violation by Jose Alvarado. At least acknowledge that much. Oh, I think the last thing I would say is the fact that Tyler Murray's clearly excited about the whole situation. Let's see what they say about the tip-in.
To make history in New York City, 5.7 left, no timeouts remaining. Anunoby is handed the ball. Finds Brunson at midcourt. Launches a straight on 3. Missed it short. Tipped by Anunoby. He put it in. Anunoby put it in. The Knicks take the lead with 1.2 to go. Anunoby
it's not
out
over.
of nowhere.
Wow.
Timeout San Antonio. Monica's correct. It is not over at all.
Whoa. But OG Anunoby just he inbounded the ball, so he's loose. Nobody came to him. That's a great call. That's a great play call. He steps in. He's looking like he might have an opportunity to catch and shoot on the 3. He would have been wide open, but the heads-up play to get right to the rim when he sees number 11 going up for the jump shot. Wow. A playoff career high.
33 points for OG Anunoby. And the Knicks, down by 29, found a way to shake it off. And they've got a chance with one more stop to pull off the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history.
All right, Monica and Tyler in this situation clearly are very excited. They are beyond hopeful. Monica did a similar, I would say, comparison to Sean in the sense of like, hey, OG Anunoby was wide open. He did the right move, the right play, and that's what it is. Maybe Sean Elliott explained it. Not maybe. I think he did. I think he explained it in a much more detailed play-by-play situation where Monica just made it short and simple. Hey, good play call. However, Monica did something that was very, very important here. It's not over. Even though the Knicks are winning right now, they are winning. I think the comment of it's not over is since like the Knicks were down by 29 points. Yes, they were down by 29 points, but the game's not over. To many Spurs fans, I would say, or even just the Spurs in general, the game was over. It was over. There was no point in continuing playing. But for the Knicks, it's not over. And I think the line is not over is a double entendre because now the Knicks are winning, right? The Knicks are winning. There's still a possibility of them losing the game at the very last second. Of course, that's not what happened, but that's neither here nor there. Also, again, when the shot went in, the reaction of Tyler and Monica was excitement. They were overjoyed, right? They were both little Knicks fans of just being like, oh my goodness, the boys did it. Whereas Dan Weiss and Sean Elliott, both were kind of just like disbelief, like, hold. Okay, am I gonna curse? Like, holy shit. We might lose this game. And I just want to see how Monica and Tyler handle the rest of this game.
1.2 left. Fourth quarter. Will there be redemption for Victor Wembanyama, who could not score in this very spot in game 2?
Wow. Okay, so the Knicks likely are going all defensive lineup here. And Mitchell Robinson came out with 2 huge stops in San Antonio. Can he and that lineup duplicate those results? Now, obviously, with 1.2, the ball is going toward the rim with Victor Wembanyama.
Ridgez on Vassell, Hart on Castle, Robinson on Wembanyama, pass toward the middle, caught by Castle, dropped by Castle, his shot is blocked by Hart, and the New York Knicks just pulled off the biggest comeback win in NBA Finals history. From down 29, they take a 3-1 series lead, stunning the Spurs, 107-106.
Soak it up, New York. This team continues to be and demonstrate that they are a team of destiny. It's been 2 years of the phrase, we will find a way. And man, add more history to the books. Overcoming a 29-point hole in front of these fans, these New York Knicks fans at home who deserve to be able to celebrate with their team. And as euphoric as this is, I'm going to be the one to say it, job's not done.
Tyler and Monica, right now, they are both just ecstatic. They're happy, and rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. They're beyond happy about the situation. I don't really know what else to really add on the fact that they're just happy and excited. Yeah, I think that's about it about that part. Just like with point of view and perspective, just like as I showed you here, 2 people can be in the exact same event at the exact same time, exact same place, and have 2 completely different points of view about it. In this context, or in this case, right, if you are a Spurs fan, you are devastated, you're heartbroken, it just sucks, right? 'Cause your team was winning almost the entire time, and it just sucks that your team lost at the very last second of it all, right? And if you're a Knicks fan, watching the game was grueling and it was terrible and it felt horrible, but that last minute, that last second tap-in shot and winning the whole thing, euphoric, right? A beautiful thing. Knicks fans will just state like we were a better team, this, that, and the third, greater and stronger. We made threes, we made stops, we slowed down the Spurs. And on the other side, Spurs fans would say like, oh, we were inexperienced, maybe we had some injuries. I don't know of an injury off the top of my head. Right, our coaching didn't have enough experience compared to the Knicks coaching with Mike Brown, right? All those different things. I think what I want to teach you about points of view is the fact that I want you to be able to at least understand. You don't have to agree, right? What I mean by that, I'm going to use Breaking Bad as an example. Most people understand why Walter White decided to sell drugs, right? We understand why he did it. Agreeing, in my opinion, means that if you were in Walter White's shoes, you do the exact same thing that he did, right? If you're somehow still yourself with all things you've lived through and experienced, and you're put in someone else's shoes and you do the exact same thing that they did, that means you agree with them. Or if you do partly what they did, you somewhat agree. You get what I'm saying here? It's you don't have to agree 100%. You can agree, somewhat, half, 25, 10, whatever. What I want, or rather what I would hope for you to do, is at least be able to understand why people do things the way they do things, or how they do things. Why? Because it helps you become a better person, helps you to really think beyond yourself. Everybody is selfish, including myself, right? Everybody is selfish. Everyone's worried about themselves and worried about their own friends and their own family. That is just that is just how human nature works. Even with that, we are still a social being. We need to socialize and to talk to people, or else we kind of just die. Again, just to understand where people come from. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, right? Doesn't mean you have to like them. Doesn't mean you have to love them. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is just understand where they come from and understand why people make the choices that they make. Just because you would make that choice doesn't mean you know or understand what options the other person's had. Alright, with that being said, I think that's the end of this. So D3ar, I love you. Bye.